All right. So why are we here, right? That's the big question. The Woods Golf Course is the best it's ever been for February, which is not normal for us this time of year. Obviously, winters have not been this kind to us as they have been this year. Typically, we're cart path only in 4, 5, or even 6 holes. So this is the best we've looked in 10 years. So this is not the norm. So we really need to plan for our future. So let's do a little history. The greens on the Woods course were built in 1980. They were modified in 2012 with a grass called Mini Birdie. Unfortunately, that grass is not done near as well in the South or anywhere. There's a lot of mutation in it. The grass grows at different heights and it creates a very unlevel and bouncy surface throughout the day. So quick pictures. This is the third green. You see all the pink flags. Those are all different grasses that are on that green. All the greens look like that on the Woods Golf Course. A little bit closer view. This is the back of the green. You can see there's no way to plug this out. There's no way to remove it. It's just throughout the whole green. This is what I see in the morning before you guys are up. Looks a little like broccoli, right? You see all the grasses growing at different heights. The good news is if you play first thing in the morning, maybe this is why everybody wants to play at 7:40, because at 7:40, it doesn't affect your ball roll as much. If you play in the afternoon, it does, right, as the heights continue to grow. Tees, fairways, and rough. They were originally Tifway 419 Bermuda grass, probably the best grass in the 70s and early 80s. Now there's 5 different off types out there on top of that. Some of those off types then go to dirt during the winter months. It normally creates cart path only out there on at least 5 holes. And unfortunately, a lot of those grasses that then in the winter months outcompete the Tifway 419 in the summertime. So it's just continuing to get worse and worse. Pictures here. This is the 12th tee on the Woods. You can see the right side is just slowly just melting away. Next picture. Here's the drive on to the fairway. You can see dark green, light green, limey green. You can see dirt. You can see a dark purpley color. These are all the different varieties here. This is 12 looking back. You can actually see there's actually dirt areas in the fairway itself. You can see these different darker grasses as well. So I can see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I got 6 grasses in that picture. By the way, this is the best we've ever looked for this time of year, right? I mean, we've talked about how great it is, and this is by far the best we've been. Here's 14, the par 3. You can see a piece. I think that's actually Celebration, that darker green color. You can see the dirt and the lime colors. This is only getting worse with time. These areas continue to expand. And then 16 fairway, which kind of looks like grandma's quilt, right? We got 6 different colors out there. Some of them are square. You can see where they maybe sodded in years past to take out some of the thinning areas. Bunkers, fun topic, right? They were lined 6 years ago. We put a thin liner in. Unfortunately, that liner is starting to fail with age. The liner we put in only lasts 6 to 7, 8 years. Newer varieties do much better than that. Because of that, rock is now floating to the surface, and we definitely have drainage issues in our bunkers. So this is the first hole on the Woods, the first bunker on the left-hand side. I'm looking back at the tee now. This is after a rain event. So we've got dozens of bunkers out there like this, so we have to pump out with small pumps to remove the water from, or just wait for it to dissipate naturally. So you'll see the guys come in and rake lightly around the outside and just move on because there's really no point in touching it. Here's the 6th hole, left-hand side, both bunkers on the fairway there do the same thing. There's no drain in this bunker, so it has to be manually pumped out. This picture here is actually the liner that's in my hand that's deteriorating over time. It's just becoming like a gooey mesh at this point. So it's really not doing anything anymore. And as time goes on, we'll continue to have more issues with the rocks coming back through, which is the main reason we put the liners in to begin with. I don't know how deep I need to talk about cart paths. After seeing the Lakes course and the pavers over there, everyone's all set on doing them on both golf courses. We definitely have a challenge on the Woods with the old asphalt. These are patch jobs you can see over the years. One thing I will mention is we have more asphalt path than any club I've ever seen in my life. When you look at this is between the left pictures between 9 and number 1 with 3 different lines coming. And the picture on the right is number 10 green that's got a Is that an and sign?
Ampersand.
Ampersand sign here. So I don't know if we got a
Signature look.
Yes. So these are things that if we just redid the path, we'd have to do all of them. But if we do a renovation, we'll remove a lot of this. And then lastly, architectural challenges. The golf course was designed in 1980. The heights of the green are quite high. So forced carries is another big thing. One of the challenges with the design of the golf course is we have 11 holes, 11 to 18 holes that you're hitting over something, which doesn't affect the low handicapper, but affects the high handicapper. The low handicappers don't even notice it, but it really affects the high handicapper. Unbalanced distances between tees. One of the things that you see now, which has happened, is we have different yardages are so far apart. So when you're given a shot in a net event, you might be 20, 30, 40 yards behind them and still giving up the shot. So that's something that can be addressed. Drainage, we all know there's drainage challenges because every time it rains, we got 3, 4, 5 holes, carpet only. So the bonus, if we fix all these things, is we fix all the playability issues and we fix the infrastructure, infrastructure improvements. Here's a quick picture of number 7. I can't tell you how many ladies I've seen with the bunker in the front, aim left of that bunker, hit one club less to aim at the bunker on the left so they can chip up and try to make the putt because they're fearful of going into that bunker. That's not fair. But again, it doesn't affect the low handicapper, it affects the high handicapper. So the goal when we went to Tim Liddy about this was a comprehensive approach. Let's improve everything. Let's make the support better design. Let's get better turf, better greens, better drainage, better bunkers, and then the shot value. We want better playability, want it challenging, very challenging, but still fun. So this is the master plan section. So I'm going to hand it over to Tim, and he's going to walk us through kind of his conceptual drawings of the golf course. A couple things I want to mention. Look at our ponds from overhead. They're kind of scary looking, to be honest with you. And on his drawings, you'll see a black line where the pond used to be. So you can see the expansion, how much prettier it is. And then as well, the forced carries. Okay, so without further ado.
Thanks. Good afternoon, everyone.
Hi.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. The first thing I want to talk about is in terms of lowering the greens. We lower the greens to maybe knee height on some holes. We can take that earthwork and we can raise the fairways in the landing area. So kind of where the blue dots are shown on this map. And we can raise those areas. And also, if we're going to expand some of the lakes, we can raise the fairways as well. So the idea is today you hit up to the greens. In the future, you would be hitting down to the greens, hopefully. So I'm going to go through each 18 holes very quickly here. The existing hole is on the left, proposed is on the right. You can see some of the notes on the right. The green is open on the right, so you can bounce it onto the green from the fairway. Got more width of the fairway for the average player. Waist bunker guards the best angle into the green. The closer you get to that waist bunker, the better angle you would have into the green. You can see this line between the lake, illustrating that the lake has expanded very far to the left with those trees being relocated, really making the lake substantial and beautiful. You know, a bigger lake is prettier than the bigger the lake, the prettier it is, in my opinion. And then the wall, a wall to say, hey, here we are at the Woods course. The important first impression, I think, is what we're trying to achieve here. And I think it would be a beautiful golf hole. You could stand on the tee and look over water and see the green. So you're looking over several layers of water, wall, bunker. A very, very beautiful first impression. Golf hole number 2. Again, we've talked about lowering the greens, keeping them open in front. Cart path removed and replaced with screenings. Plenty of width, filling in the blind water that comes in from the left. Fill that in again so there's more width to play golf. Reduce the turf and clean up the right side where all the trees are to really just clean that up and have room for carts. And again, the blind water shown on the left. We can, when available, we're trying to add 10 yards here, 5 yards there, whenever there's a opportunity to do so. Takes us to the third golf hole. Again, one of those tees, we think we can get it back to about 200 yards. We're showing the potential of coquina around and in between the golf hole. Now, in some areas, this illustration is showing coquina between the forward tee and the approach to the green. A lot of clubs were connecting that, so that would all be grass between the tee all the way to the green. Why are we promoting this coquina? Why are we talking about this? Screenings is another term for it. It's all about sustainability to us. Three big factors: less turf to mow and maintain, less chemical use, and you will use less water. So those are three important aspects to, if we can find these areas that are out of play in this big wide golf course that you have today and reduce that turf, we think it'll be a home run for all of us. Same idea on this short par 4, cleaning up the right side with coquina under the trees, redoing the bunkers, lowering the green, just trying to improve the playability for the average player. We can talk about the challenge to the good player if you'd like, whenever you want to talk about it, because it also achieves both those goals. And that a good player on this hole, for instance, could challenge trying to carry the bunkers on the left to get a better angle into the green, or he could have to challenge them anyway to get it to the back right hole location. Golf hole number 5, I call it the infamous number 5. Again, the same concept as on number 1, except no wall on this golf hole, where we're expanding that lake quite a bit to the fairway, and then wrapping that fairway around the new lake edge, and also making it kind of a medium to a long par 4 instead of a par 5, keeping balls from trying to hit over the homes. So there's some of my notes. Number 6, like, you know, it gets repetitive, but I think it's important that the green approach is very wide. We've removed trees along the right-hand side for playability, and cleaned up that tree edge with screenings, reduced the turf with those screenings. Takes us to golf hole number 7. Beautiful golf hole. And one of the advantages to lowering the green on this golf hole is that you're going to see the beautiful trees behind the green much more prominently than you see today. And as a composition, this is something that is important to an architect. The hole on the left, what you have today, you have bunkers, you have a green, you have a lake. They do not all fit together, where the sketch on the right is showing you that can look like all one composition, where the water, the bunkers, and the green all fit together as one composition. I hope that makes sense. And again, that tree behind is so beautiful. You want to open that view all the way to the base of that tree, like a base. Golf hole number 8, beautiful golf hole, a lot of great angles here. A player can decide how they want to hit over those bunkers, to the left of the bunkers. The very, very long player can challenge the lake on the right and try and carry it. Number 9, we're talking about taking it from a par 4 of 424 yards up to a par 5 of 540 yards. Expanding the lake. You can see the lake on the left gets very narrow and not the most aesthetic pleasing lake I've seen, where we can make it a more oval shape, maybe put a wall on it. Been a lot of discussion about maybe this becomes the 18th hole instead of the 9th, as it comes back into the clubhouse area. Golf hole number 10. Let me get through my notes quickly. Oh, we found a little par 3. So there's a beautiful spot right next to the clubhouse. of about, I think it's about 10 acres, maybe not quite 10 acres, where we can slide in 6 little par 3 golf holes of 85, 70 yards, 65 yards. And these have been so successful around the country. They're fun for all ages. You know, I can take my grandsons out and play golf. I can play this when I'm 90. Again, short game practice for the elite golfer. He could spend all day practicing out of the bunkers here. Great little area for instruction to beginners. You know, how do you learn the etiquette of golf? How do you learn how to putt and chip? And also see, you know, the 9-hole groups sometimes will do a sip and chip on this in the evenings. It's also a great place if 9 becomes 18 and you've got a tie on the bet, you can walk right over here and grab a beer and finish up the bet with some golf on the par 3 course. I really like this. I'm really excited about this little short course. Takes us to golf hole number 10. We found some length. We took out the little lagoon on the left. We're making it up in other areas. Again, you see the approach, you see of width, you see the angles developed. And again, we've added just a little bit of length to it. We think we can find 20 yards. So one of the things that you learn as an architect, if you go back and you look at the great old golf courses, it's all about angles. So for instance, this fairway has plenty of width, but again, a good player has to challenge that left side bunker to get a good angle into the back right pin. And the more firm the golf course, the more that becomes prevalent for the good player, while the rest of us have plenty of width. Hole number 11, also looking at the potential of a wall along this and expanding the lake and cleaning up the look of this hole. Again, you would be standing on the tee on this par 5, and you could see all the way to the green, and you'd be looking over water on the back tees. So it would look hard, but it plays much easier than it looks. So again, we've talked about lowering the greens, typically expanding the lake. Golf hole number 12. Again, it encompasses all the 3 major components that we've talked about: lowering the green, adding width to the approach areas, reducing the turf with screenings, and extending the tees where we can to lengthen the hole. You know, 12 is one of our favorites. We can add about 100 yards to that golf hole. So get ready, boys, right? 13 takes us from a 391 golf hole to 460 yards with a staggering set of bunkers, cleaning up the trees, adding width, extending the tees to lengthen the golf hole. 14, a beautiful little par 3. Again, we're showing a coquina or screenings all around the green. We're lowering the green, adding plenty of width to the green approach, reducing the turf, as we mentioned, and we found a little length there. So this is an image of, on the left is an existing, your existing 14th golf hole, and on the right is what it could potentially look like. The green's a bit lower, the tees would be raised, and the coquina would clean it up. And again, I would mention that on many of my country club golf courses, we're connecting the forward tee with grass all the way to the approach of the green. Doesn't change anything for the majority of players. It just helps the weaker golfers. 15, a wonderful par 5. Both with 15 and 16, what using coquina along the tree edge allows us to do is it allows us to remove the cart paths along the homes and to clean up the tree line on the right-hand side. So 15, we got a little yardage on this par 4. 16, same concept, cleaning up the right side, removing the cart path along the homes. There's a lot of room around 16 green to do some artistic bunkering and make it a unique golf hole on its own. And of course, those principles we've talked many times of lowering the green, keeping it wide in front, shifting the cart paths away. 17, beautiful little par 3. We've got plenty of room here to shift the green next to the lake, add some bunkering, add plenty of tees, lower the green hard onto the water, as we say. Trees would remain. 18, the big finish. One of the greatest abilities for a golf course architect to get a really good player is the term temptation, just like in everything in life. So if the good player lands about where the 18 is shown on the right, he's very tempted to go for that in 2, and there's nothing but trouble around that green. So again, we're gonna get that good player thinking and having fun with the golf course, while the rest of us again have plenty of width to play around and bump it around the corner. A great finish, or if that's hole number 9, that still works, and we did find a little bit of yardage for it. So that brings us to kind of a summary. And it's one thing that I'm very proud of on your golf course, because there's so much room on your golf course. It affords us the opportunity to balance this. And the balance of a golf course really makes it special. By balance, I mean half the shots are left to right, half the shots are right to left. So you can hit hooks. Some players hit hooks, some players hit slices, and doesn't give anyone an advantage. In fact, 2 of the par 5s go left, 2 of the par 5s go right. 2 of the par 3s play right to left, 2 of the par 3s play left to right. The par 4s balance. Half of them go left, the other half go right. Half the greens turn right to left, half the other greens turn left to right. So a very balanced tournament type golf course that challenges the best players, either hitting cuts, fades, or draws and hooks. Takes us again to the scorecard. And I'm having a little computer glitch here. There we go. Let's see why it's not going, but
It's jumping ahead on you.
okay.
Let me get you back to where you want to be.
Thank you. I learned that if you shove the button once, it doesn't work. You shove it 10 times, right?
Yeah, there's a little bit of a lag.
So the existing card, is a bit schizophrenic in that you have some yardages are very close and some are very far apart. And what the opportunity affords us, again, if remodeling the entire golf course at once, is I think we can get all the way back to 7,000 yards on the back tee, and at increments of every 500 yards. So you'd have 65s, you'd have 6,000s, 55s, you'd have the 5,000, the 45s, and all the way to the 4,000. So you could have all those sets of tees spaced out every 500 yards. And in conclusion on my little bit of this presentation, the 3 major points I want to make, it might be 4, but is that by doing this all at once, it's much more cost effective than trying to space it out over a decade of improvements. If we do it all at once, we can lower the greens, we can bring that earth to the fairways, and we can improve the playability for all players. That important part of sustainability for us, by less turf, less water, less chemical use, we can really make this a much more sustainable golf course. And my last point is that I think you should look at doing it now versus doing it later or extended, because you have to do it one way or another. So it makes more sense to do it in a comprehensive approach, fixing all your problems at once. With that, I'll turn it back to Mr. Bill, right? And he'll talk about some questions. Mr. Bill.
All right. Why do you have to go with Mr. Bill? Having flashbacks from elementary school. So a couple of things that, in summary, before I get into mine, a couple of things that came out of Tim's presentation. One is how much better some of the holes look with the greens closer to water. There's so many holes we have that the water isn't not even seen. We have beautiful, beautiful views. But in summary, real quick, the Woods Golf Course is going to continue to deteriorate every year. It's getting worse. It's going to continue to get worse. We were blessed this year with great weather, but we can't, every 10 years hitting this again. So this plan will provide us a course that's enjoyable for all levels of golf, which I think is very important. It does not increase the operational budget. In fact, it'll probably decrease the operational budget a little bit. One thing we talked about was sustainability. That's a big key word in our environment right now. One thing we haven't talked about, I was going to mention a minute ago, was water. In the future, we're going to have to start paying for water. Right now, we don't pay for water. We get it from wells. We pay for the electricity for the wells, but that's it. Going forward in the next year to 18 months, we're going to have to start paying for water through the county. So one of the goals was, how can we reduce these areas out of the way to reduce chemical inputs, which we all know is not necessarily good for the environment, as well as fertilizer, and then water, paid for areas out of the way. So if you saw maybe a little more screenings on there, coquina, than maybe you wanted to see, that was kind of the initial approach to it. Doesn't mean some of that can't change, and some of it will, but it's more of a concept.
A rough percentage increase in price of fertilizer and different chemicals right now? What's a rough percentage that you're?
So I will tell you, so it's a good question. We'll normally answer these at the end, Mr. Sweet, but
Yes, sir.
we'll do this one for you. So we do a pre-emerge, which stops weeds on the golf course, on both golf courses, pre-emerge and fertilizer together. I do it in November and I do it in March 1. I did it in November. It cost us $44,000. I'm doing it in March. It's costing us $54,000. So I said a number earlier about only saving $30,000 in screens. That I was wrong. I spoke to someone's husband about that a little bit earlier. I was wrong. The number's quite a bit more. So that number's just continuing to go up. And again, it's about inputs in our environment, right? So the point is, this renovation will put us in a position to compete with the best courses in the area. If you look, we just did a survey last year. Jeremy did, with 37 clubs in our area. No one has 419 Bermuda grass anymore. It's all been renovated. Everybody's renovated it out. There's only one other golf course in the area that has mini birdie. Everyone's gotten rid of it. And that other course is down the street, and they keep coming to look at our greens and how great they are. So they're having more troubles than we are. So it's definitely something that needs to be done. So top questions. We went ahead and added a few questions here. We figured people were going to ask. So, and then we'll go to the floor for questions. How long will the project take? That's always a big one. If we approved the project this year and wanted to do it next year, we'd spray the Bermuda grass out in late January. You'd still play on it. It'd be like dormant Bermuda grass. If you ever played up north, you'll hit the longest drives of your life. You'll think you're Tiger Woods all over again, right? So you'll play on that for February and then part of March, and then sometime about mid-March till November, we close the golf course, renovate the entire thing. One thing to note is the aerification schedule. When people hear that time from March to November, typically with our aerification schedule, other than a few weekends, like 4th of July and a couple others, basically from May 1st until sometime in October, we only have one golf course anyway. We're aerifying and doing all those cultural practices. So what we would do if we were going to have this done next year is we would limit the aerifications on the Lakes golf course, do some really quick things on an afternoon, or maybe a 9 holes one day, 9 holes another, and keep the golf course open to membership, and then follow up the next year for the Lakes golf course. Additionally, over the years, we've been reciprocal with a lot of other clubs in town. We've helped out a lot of clubs that have gone through renovations, a lot of which are 18 holes. Now we're blessed with 36, but there's a little scratch my back, I'll scratch yours kind of concept. So we'll be definitely doing some of that as well. How much will it cost? The big number, big question, right? What you saw is roughly $8 million, depending on frills. I mean, that's today's dollar. So, if we wait 4 years for this, I can't promise you it's going to be anywhere near that. But that depends on frills. It depends on walls, the par 3. We've got a lot of positive comments about the par 3 golf course. And then, how many walls and so on. Somewhere around, we'll call it $8 million. Just for a quick note, are some peers. Broken Sound is spending $5.7 million this summer. They're doing no irrigation, no walls, no drainage, no paths. And they also renovated the entire place, and I believe 04 and did some in 14 as well. Polo Club's doing a complete blow up right now with a new architect. They're spending about $9.7 million. So we're kind of right in the middle of all that. Next question. Can we save anything and can we split up the projects into parts? We are saving the irrigation system. We put in a really good irrigation system in 2010. That's HDPE pipe. That's going to last you probably 30 plus years. So we got at least 18 more years out of it. We obviously need to do some irrigation around the green complexes where we changed those, but for the most part, that's a good working order and we're going to save all that. The challenge if we split is we'll never be able to fix the inherent challenges on the golf course. We're only band-aided. We're not changing the heights of the greens. We're not moving the bunkers. We're not fixing slope to get more drainage in areas. We've got cart path upon cart path upon cart path. It also becomes very cost prohibitive. So again, just the cart paths, we did the same thing with what we have on the we have in the Lakes golf course and did that on the woods. We're looking at 1.5, $1.7 million just in cart path. But we don't need all that cart path if we design it properly. And then the last thing is inconvenience, right? Inconvenience of membership. If we do it multiple years, then I can't just stop the lakes aerifications over and over and over again, right? And you're going to pay more, right? Because it's so forth. So what happens to the trees? Another big question. There are a few trees that are going to be removed. That's just a fact of a renovation, but most of them will be prepped ahead of time and transplanted. Anything that we can transplant, we will transplant. Anything that has any value will definitely be transplanted. So, and then we will add additional, I mean, it is our woods golf course, so we will be adding additional trees.